Hey guys, welcome to my legal classes. This is Ganesh Pujari, and in the series of Law of Torts, we have already gone through few lessons, and by now we are aware that torts are different than other laws. How different they are. Let us try understand them one by one, and in this video I am going to deal with torts versus crimes. Let's try understand how law of torts are different from law of crimes. Here I have two slides. In my next slide, I will explain all the differences, and in the last slide, I will explain the same with my way, that is with the help of chart. Not taking much of your time, let's get into the first slide. Torts versus crimes. Here we have a chart with heads, the difference between torts and crimes accordingly. I have as many as 11 differences, just like a cricket team. And let us try understand one by one heads. The first head is there is a difference between the nature of torts when we compare with crimes. Torts are civil wrong, whereas crimes are criminal wrongs or criminal offenses. That's the biggest difference that we see in torts and crimes. But saying so, the beauty of these two laws are sometimes they come and say hi to each other. Like for example, the torts like assault or battery, negligence, defamation, etc. are falling under torts also, and then they come under crimes also. Most of the time, the tortfeasor or the one who has committed such torts will end up paying compensation to the person who has experienced injury, and at the same time he may go through punishment also. That way he will be covered in both the laws. And there are few other civil wrongs. They are torts, like for example trespass is a tort, but the aggravated form of trespass like criminal trespass, trespassing and committing theft, now that becomes a crime. So a tort can be a crime if it is aggravated. So all of these things looks little critical, but when we discuss defamation, negligence, assault or battery or trespass, all of that individually, I will try to make those concepts very clear. But for now, to simply say the nature of torts are they are civil wrong, whereas the crimes are criminal wrong or the criminal offenses. That is the first difference between torts versus crimes. In the table, serial number 2, the second head that we are going to understand here is to whom does they affect or against whom these wrongs are done. Now this is a table, and in my next slide I have a clear chart, but let's try understand the second head here. Torts are affecting the civil rights of someone, or torts are committed against private individuals, so they are private wrongs. Whereas crimes are affecting the whole community, so we can say it as public wrong. Let's take an example. Somebody is committing trespass. Okay, Mr. X is entering into the property of Mr. A. Now by doing so, what does X do? He is infringing the right of A to enjoy his private property peacefully. So that becomes a civil wrong that affects only Mr. A. But if X enter into A's property and commit thefts, in that case what happens? A of course is disturbed. At the same time, the entire community which is living surrounding to A, they are also disturbed, because they also feel that tomorrow this theft can happen in our own home also. That way it completely disturbs the society, so it is considered as public wrong. Or to make it simple, a simple trespass to a private property is a civil wrong, but a murder, it will disturb the entire community, so that's against the whole community, or that can be considered as public wrong. That is the second difference between tort versus crimes. The third head is what do we call to that person who is committing a tort and the one who is committing crime. Under tort, we are calling that person who has committed civil wrong as wrongdoer or tortfeasor. Whereas under crime, whoever we are doubting that has committed such an offense, we are calling him as accused. The fourth one is what is the remedy? Or the one who has experienced tort, what does he get? He will get compensation for the legal injury that he has experienced. Whereas under crime, whoever has experienced crime, they will not get compensation by the way of money which is happening in tort, but they will get satisfaction because whoever has committed crime, they will go through punishment. Now again, here there is a sensitive point. Cases like acid attack, rape, etc. with the new trend, court also makes the person who has committed such offense to pay some compensation to the victim and then he will also go through punishment. Under crimes, it may end up paying compensation, but it will not exclude that person by paying compensation. He will surely go through imprisonment or whatever punishment is being mentioned. That way he will get both compensation to be paid as well as the punishment as prescribed in the law. So that is regarding remedy. The fifth one, who is bringing the action? Under tort, it is the person who has experienced the legal injury. He is the one who brings the action against the wrongdoer or the tortfeasor, whereas under crime, it is the state which brings the action via police, etc. To go little further, under serial number 5, we understood who is bringing the action. Under serial number 6, who is taking action. Under tort, the action is taken by private individuals, whereas under crime, the proceedings are done by police, etc. There will be employees of state who will do all the proceedings. Now, in which court the tort or crimes dealt? Torts are dealt in civil courts, whereas crimes, the prosecutions are running in criminal courts. That is the seventh difference. The eighth difference is when it comes to codification of laws, tort doesn't have an individual laws as law of tort. Okay, this is coming from common laws, precedents, etc. But when it comes to crimes, we have codified laws. Like for example, in India, we have Indian Penal Code, which becomes one very beautiful example to say crimes are codified. So that is the eighth difference. The ninth difference is what happens when a tortfeasor or an accused is dead, whether the case will run or not. This is a big difference that we need to remember. In the case of tort, the wrongdoer or the tortfeasor dies. That doesn't mean that the case will also come to an end. No, the legal representatives in the case of torts can be sued for whatever wrong which is done by the tortfeasor or the wrongdoer. But in the criminal cases, it is not so. Once the accused dead, the prosecution also comes to an end. Like for example, imagine Mr. X has committed murder and there was no participation from his legal representatives in whatever way. He has done it individually and the case was running. In between, X is dead. In that case comes to an end. Now his family, friends or whatever legal representatives are there, they will not be made responsible for X's act. That's what we need to understand when it comes to crime. But it is not so in tort. If somebody has caused negligence and caused some loss to someone, and if that person is dead, the legal representatives can be still be sued. That is what we need to remember. But then there are again exceptions, like in the case of defamation, assault, etc. The case will also come to an end with the death of the tortfeasor or wrongdoer. Here, one very important aspect that we need to remember when it comes to tort, it will be seen case to case basis. It will also be seen what is the common law, what are the precedents. All of that will be considered. We cannot say in this case it will be continued and in this case it will not be continued. It will be seen case by case and the court will decide. That is what we need to remember. Saying so, if in the case of assault, if it is for compensation, that is seen in one way. If it is seen as a crime, that is seen in another way. Then we have to go back to head number 1 and see it again. But when it comes to the death of tortfeasor, if it is assault case, though it is a civil wrong, there the case can come to an end. That is what we need to understand. The 10th head is limitation. Limitation of time to put a case in tort. Yes, it is applicable as per the respective laws, but whereas in crime, usually there is no time limit to put a case except as per section 468 of CRPC. No need to get into too detail in that particular point, but remember this particular aspect, that under torts there is time limitation, whereas under crimes usually there is no time limitation to put a case. The last part, what about intention? Under torts, mostly negligence will be seen, whether it was there or not. Okay, but it is not that serious that how much of intention was there under tort. It is ignorable most of the time, like the concept like malice, etc. We are not even getting into that deep. But whereas in crimes, okay, doing intentionally is one of the very important aspect when it comes to crime, because crime is all about mens rea and actus reus. You need to have an intention and then you need to do an act accordingly. Only then, only when we see both of this, a crime gets completed. So there, something done intentionally will be considered as crime, but in tort it is not so. Things done negligently are also tort. Things done without any intention can also be tort. All of that is possible under tort. So we are not looking at mens rea there. That is the biggest difference we need to understand from point number 11. I hope that is an easy table, but I'll make it furthermore clear with the help of a simple chart in my next slide. This chart, I have brought 6 very important aspects and you can see them, read them, understand them together. Torts are civil wrong. They are done against individual by infringing the civil or the legal rights of such individuals, and mostly they are committed because of negligent behavior, and for such whatever tort they have committed, they will pay compensation, and those are called as torts. Whereas criminal wrongs impacting the society by committing some defined crime with a clear intention and getting punishment for the same is called as crime. So the difference are very easy there. Tort is a civil wrong, crimes are criminal wrong. Torts are done against individual, whereas crimes are impacting the whole society. Torts are all about infringing the civil or legal rights, but crimes are all about committing a defined crime, that is actus reus. Under tort, they are mostly done negligently, whereas under crime, they are done intentionally. That means mens rea is must. And for tort, what is the punishment? They are paying compensation for such wrong, or the tortfeasor is paying compensation to the person who has experienced the legal injury, whereas under crime, the person who has committed crime with mens rea and actus reus will go through the defined punishment. So that's all about torts versus crimes, and I hope you guys have understood it very clearly, and with that hope I am handing over this presentation to Nishan.
Look at him. He's a kid. Sometimes he's eating. Sometimes he's drawing. Sometimes he's fighting. And sometimes he's angry. When Papa was recording the last slide, I was playing with my cars. And I dropped few cars. Papa got angry. I don't know why I'm a kid. I can play. With that, I'm concluding this session. Please subscribe our channel. Please like, share and comment our videos. Thank you. Bye-bye.